Okay, we are on live now. So what upon?
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to our session. So today is the end of the year. So today is a session for December. So I hope you will enjoy and we can have some fresh preparation for Christmas vacation and New Year vacation. So let's move to Prajan. I just mentioned last time, Prajan taught us about the four benefits of the meditation. So I just would like to highlight. And then we see this day that Prajan going to give us as the bless for the new year. I hope that too.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. So probably this time of the year, everybody is busy preparing for the Christmas and the New Year. So stressful moment in a happy way. So before the talk and reflection, let's practice meditation. Take your seats and sitting in a comfortable position. And gently close your eyes and feel the body present here. Each breath going into your body, feel the body. Fully focusing the entire body and remain with that, not letting the mind go away wondering things. So feeling the existence of this body here and now. So we are concentrating on the body, not forgetting, but focusing, experiencing the body sitting here and now. Remaining attention to the physical body means that we are not thinking of other things. And here, when we think about remaining on the body sensation, that doesn't mean that passively looking at it, but ability to recognize that what sort of a mental state am I having? Is it a wholesome, good, or unwholesome, bad thought I'm having? So developing a skillful one to find the right path to lead to happiness. being alert, clearly aware of what's happening in the moment here and now. Doesn't matter what's happening, it's a matter of a clear awareness. So we are learning to develop our clear awareness. And remembering that what we are doing here is paying attention to the breath in the body as it is taking place, as happening now. Mindful. So mindfulness here doesn't mean the non-reactive or free from any agendas. It's about active engagement of what's happening, what's going on, and knowing as they are taking place. mindfully staying with this breath, the body, and not letting to arise any greed or distress. Okay, so open your eyes and come out from the practice. Okay, so anything wants to share this time before we move on to the reflection? Hmm? No one? Okay.
I have one thing, and it's a
Hmm.
consistent struggle for me, is when I'm sitting at some point for the first half, I'm able to like bring myself back from my thoughts to my body. But I always get this pain in my hip every time I'm sitting, and I really try to fight it by breathing through it and bringing my mind back to my breath. And at some point, I just get restless and I have to move around a little bit.
Hmm. Okay, so you're doing quite good, quite okay. So the first thing is rather than moving straight away, just try different ways to notice that pain. And then if that doesn't go away, then obviously moving it, slightly moving. But again, before moving, again, checking the mental states that now I have done this best, and then now I have to change, but I will change mindfully. So changing very slowly, not in a hope to reduce the pain, in a hope to change. Right? And then as you change, that pain will go away. Sometimes go away, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes it can be your mental pain, okay? So mentally grasping the original pain, right? So you're doing good. You're doing perfectly right. So slowly moving your posture and then bring back the attention to the breath again.
Thank you.
Okay. So that the term meditation in Buddhist contexts, say it's called bhavana. Right? Bhavana means development, and this is again the word bhavana, development. In a way, it's a short form of developing our good qualities, skillful qualities in our mind. So that's why it is also a form of action that we have to engage, a form of action that we have to actively engage. So that's why it's also another way you're intentionally you intentionally are doing things towards developing your mindfulness and alertness, awareness. Right? So that's why it is also known as the kammatthana. Right? In Pali word, the kammatthana means working state or work at hand, like kammatthana. Okay? So basically, make an effort to work skillfully. So that's the kammatthana. Right? That's why when we look at this work in the traditional form of a practice, we are paying attention to the body, to our feelings, to our mind, and then how things work, the phenomena. And that's also known as a foundation of the mindfulness. Right? So sometimes it's called four foundations of a mindfulness. But if you're familiar with the terminology, then you may hear called satipatthana, right? Satipatthana practice. In the satipatthana practice, basically, it comes like this. A practitioner remains focused on the body in and of itself, and then ardently, this is atapi, alertness or fully comprehensive awareness, sampajano, and then sati, the mindfulness. And then after you have that, so basically we are putting the greed and a distress with reference to the world. So putting away. So that's why there are three things to remember here. The first thing is remain focused. Second is active engagement. And then the third is the result. The result is putting away or putting aside the greed and a distress. So desire to want and desire not to want. Okay. So remaining focused, that's why obviously we cannot observe the entire body as a form that with such a big, vast space. That's why it says body in the body. So one of the part of entire body is called one body in the body. So we choose the breath, which we can experience it in our nose or in our belly, which is the most easier way to be mindful of. So once we have taken it on, we are basically maintaining our awareness of this body. So basically keeping our mind there. Now that's called the remain focused. Remain focused on it. And obviously, because of our daily routine and engagement with so many other things, our mind will wander off. Our mind will wander off very easily. Now, whenever it wanders off, what we are doing is bring it back. Bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to the breath again and again. There's a pulling and a pushing game going on. Our intention is to keep the mind focusing on the breath, but the mind, which is we have been being with like that, always take the mind away to think of something else. So that's the start of the practice. So we are bringing it back again and again, again and again into the breath. And that's why it requires the ardent practice, right? When in order to keep the mind on the breath firmly, establishing it, we got to have this effort to put it in. So that's why it's called not a non-reactive, but we are actively engaging in this process of the practice. So when we are paying attention to like that, so we are putting in full effort to keep the mind on the breath. And this moment again, it's not just the putting our attention to the breath, but also we have to remember the moment when our attention is on the breath. At that moment, we are not desiring to be that my mind should be in it, on the breath. And then it's so beautiful breath. It's so nice like that, not having that. Or when we are trying to pay attention to it and then the mind doesn't stay with the breath and then struggling with that because the mind just wanders off, struggling. So not in that state too. What we are doing is we are basically remembering that this breath I have adopted to be mindful of, and then I will try my best to be in it. So maintaining our awareness in there. And this effort is again skillful development. So now here in this effort, we cannot escape from what we see, what we hear, and how things come to contact with our body. And this is how we are living. We have to engage with the people We have to engage with the nature. We have to engage with the noises and sounds and all other things. That's a natural things happening. And then a person who never practiced it, what's happened here that we fully engage in the world, with the world, and forget. And then we define that as me and a mine. So we define that. Whereas a person who has developed practice meditation, what's happening? Seeing that those objects, whether the object that we see, the sound that we hear, or things that comes to contact, or our contact with the world, actually that doesn't have any good or a bad. It's just a neutral thing, right? It's just a neutral. And the moment when it comes to contact with us, what's happening here that we become a conscious of that object. When we become a conscious of that object, then that object is just known. It doesn't have anything to do at all. Now, this moment, what's happened here, this very moment, we define that object. We define the world based on what we want it to be, based on what we have seen it. Right? So when we define that, and oftentimes we define that in a form of our preconceived ideas and the knowledge about that thing, and we hold on to it. Right? So the practice of a meditation is putting an effort to see the whole process that my mind is observing of this, and this comes to contact with me, and I have no control over it, but I can see it just as it is, rather than letting it invade in us. Right? And in that defining a person who is unmindful or not practiced before, what happens that most of the time with the engagement with the preconceived knowledge about that one, and then desiring to want it to be this or that, we go into the a negative states of the mind. And then that brings the discomfort, unhappiness, that brings why it's not happening as I want it, or why it's this way, and why it's not in my way, like that. So it goes on like that. So here the effort is we are developing this effort. Whenever this comes into the negative form, we are reducing it and removing, not letting it to have it. Whereas when it's we have reduced the negative form, so we are developing the skillfulness now, skillful ones, or the beneficial one, the good one, right? Seeing in the entire process of it. And when we see that, and that seeing again requires complete connectedness, being alert and connect the object that we have adopted. So with that connection and with that clear awareness of the object, that's the breath that we have adopted, then this moment, what's happened that whenever things arise, then at that moment, we also knew that, oh, I have been paying attention to this, but now my mind has gone to that. So in this moment, I got to be more mindful. So let's bring it back again, like that. So this is actually helping us to develop this awareness, and this awareness as it develops, then we see the clear picture of entire process. The world that we see, or the world that we come to contact, actually is inevitable as long as we are still alive. And then again, I cannot avoid that. I have to engage with them. So these one is cannot avoid, another one is cannot escape. So these two are always happening in our life. In this situation, what we are developing is developing our conscious awareness, which is alert and awake and mindful, not losing ourselves in that mist. We are engaged, yet we are distant with that. Right? So that's how mindfulness actually helping us to be live in the middle of the midst of this whole things, chaotic things happening, but undisturbed our mind. But rather we are developing the compassion to ourselves and to others. Right? That's how there is no greed, there is no distress about things that happened. That's why this moment is happening. Two things is happening basically each time when you are doing it. One thing is we know that where we stand, and a second, whatever comes, do not let it invade. That's just the two things that are happening. Not letting it to invade our consciousness, our mind, so that we are not disturbed by it. But what's happening most of the time that we do not know what is our stand. What's our stand? And then we are letting it to invade, letting situation to invade us. Then we completely lost into this the chaotic world. Yeah? So the practice of a mindfulness meditation is basically we are living in the midst but not disturbed by it. It's like when you are traveling. Sanya may have experienced it a lot because he's traveling a lot. When you checked in at the airport, you see so many people wandering around. Do they disturb you? No, right? Because you do not see any connection with them at all. But you are still engaging with them. You're still there with them. But they are not causing any trouble to you. So that's like that. So practice of a meditation as we develop is we are living in the midst of so many people, but not disturbed by it. We can withdraw ourselves because we know where our ground stands. When we are waiting for the flights, so we know that my flight is going to be this time. So during this time, I can have my own way, own life. So not disturbed by anything or all the people that are wandering around. Doesn't matter what sort of a people, doesn't matter where they are coming from. We do not pay any attention to it at all. Mhm. And another story. Nowadays, it's a bit hard to find. Nowadays, we normally go to the supermarket, so there is no shouting going on. Whereas in the past, or even in Asia, even now, when you go to the markets, it's open market, and you see so many shopkeepers are shouting and people are bargaining, going on. And yet, you do not have anything to do with that shouting, with that bargaining, or even if there is a quarrel going on, you just disregard to that. You do not pay attention to it at all because you have firmly established that okay, these are the things I have to buy, and these are the things I'm going to buy. So with this in mind, your mind is concentrated, focused, and with that, whatever is happening, you're just putting them aside. huh? You do not take them into your life. So that's exactly what we are training to be. We cannot escape from this chaotic world that's happening out there. And then, since we cannot escape, what we are doing is we are controlling, or we are mindful of our own mental state. So with that mindfulness, that what am I doing and how am I relating to this world? So basically understanding of that, then we make peace within ourselves. And this peace is something that we can feel in everyday life. Particularly now is the time that you are engaging with so many family members, and then probably you're having parties with so many other people, so many things happening at the same time. And this time, you cannot escape. And there is a fear of a fear that if you do not go or if you do not attain, they may feel unhappy and those sort of things going on. And in this case, what you are doing, that you're simply there, you engage fully, you entertain, you enjoy, but you're not taking whatever negative experiences are going on there, coming back with that. We just leave there on the table there. Do not bring it back. It's like all the dishes that you have finished, just leaving all the dishes on the table and come back with a plain, free mental state. In order to, we can do that only when we know the grounds, our grounds, that where we stand on. So that's why it's called staying focused on our frames of our mindfulness. And let's begin with paying attention to the breath, the body. And when we get able to do that, then we see that, okay, I can enjoy, but not letting those things come to invade my mind. And then eventually we can be free from all the disturbances and find happiness. Same with the feeling. Feeling also, our life continues because of the feeling. If there is no feeling, the life will be like a black and white, so dull and no tests. When we see things, when we hear things, we have a feeling comes in, and those feelings becomes emotion. Before that feeling converts into the emotion, and now if we are mindful, then that doesn't become emotion. It's just a feeling. Feeling is always in the present. Emotion is always in the past. And so the feeling becomes the present awareness. And we maintain our awareness on this feeling. That's what I'm experiencing now. And having a right understanding that this feeling is only happening in the very moment. And then we are able to let it be. Yeah. So same with the mind too. Mind also always in the present moment. Then the experience of this is different. So like that. So that the practice of meditation, that's why it's developing this skill to be able to be mindful on the intended object and actively engaging in it, and then developing this effort to whatever unhelpful, unskillful things happening, we just let it go, and then developing the skillful means in skillful ways, and that's beneficial for us. So continue practicing in that. And when we are developing that, again, we have full comprehensive awareness about it, and we're mindful, maintaining the mindfulness in it, right? So this is the overview for the practice of four foundations of mindfulness for today. So with this, anyone wants to share anything? Otherwise, we just do another meditation. I may have to stop a little bit early today. Okay. Right, so in that case, let's practice again. So sitting in a comfortable position. So bring your attention to the moment here and now. Mindfully aware of the breath coming in and going out. Experiencing the rising, falling of the abdomen. When it is rising, knowing the rising. When it is falling, knowing the falling. Mentally making a note of it too. rising, falling. Just try to be with this rising and falling as breathe in, breathe out. Remain focused. Okay, again, you may gently open your eyes and come out from the meditation. Okay. Now, anybody wants to share anything? Any practice? So, in the four frames of or four foundations of a mindfulness, which is the mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the feeling, mindfulness of the mind, and phenomena, we do not need to worry about that. As the mind becomes subtler and subtler, your focus becomes stronger and stronger. Rather than focusing on the body contemplation, gradually you will see the feelings. You will be able to recognize your mental states, and then with that again, how these things processes, arises, and vanishes, so-called phenomena. So you can observe that gradually. So the one thing you have to remember that suppose we got the full attention and develop the focus attention, then we become aware of the rather than the breath, become aware of the feelings. And that time again, do not struggle to go back to the breath. Spend fully focused, maintaining your attention on the feelings now. Then when we are paying attention to the feelings, then whether that is a pleasant feeling or pleasure feeling or unpleasant on a pain or a neutral feeling, whatever is that, we're simply knowing that again, and then we have full understanding of that. Same with our mind. When whatever mind is telling the stories in our heads and are thinking about something, thinking about this or thinking about that, whether that is driven by our greed or driven by our hate or anger or not knowing why am I doing this. So that is also, we can be mindful on that too. And obviously, practice of mindfulness meditation is to gain the freedom. Here again, we have to remember that the desire to have a freedom is different than desire to get the suffering. Okay? Freedom and the suffering is two completely different things. And oftentimes, whenever things we come a contract with, then something other things happen and we tell the story rather than that bringing that leading towards the freedom, we are actually creating more suffering to ourselves, and then we try to change other things in it. So it's not about leading to the suffering, but it's leading towards the freedom, and that's the practice that we are practicing for. Right? And this leading towards the freedom, of this freedom is not because we neglect, not because we close our eyes and we do not see, so I am free. No, because as I have said, uh, we have to continuously interact with the world, and the world will continuously interact with us. So in this case, we cannot say that closing my eyes and the world doesn't exist. Shutting our ears, world doesn't exist. Not like that. A practice is basically, I am exist, the world is exist, but not letting this world to cause a trouble in me, and not having suffering from it, pain and grief, but having complete freedom. So that's the awakening mind that we are having. And this awakening mind is basically, we have a skillful means of dealing with the relationship with the world. right? And this relationship with the world actually becomes pleasant, becomes a joy, becomes um, a part that I have to engage, but not suffering from it. Okay? Obviously, as you have to engage with so many people, and oftentimes we take those incidents and the stories of this person or that person, letting invade ourselves and then causing a trouble. But practice actually, rather than bringing it, just leave it there on the table or on whatever wherever you are in. And so that's how then we attain the freedom. So the practice of meditation, that's we have to remember, we practice to gain the freedom, not to practice to gain the more suffering. We have already more suffering enough to suffer, right? So that's the one thing. And another thing, when we are paying attention to either this, whatever the four foundations of a mindfulness are there, when this is normal case what happens, that when we are paying attention to it, yeah, and then the mind distracts to something else, or to the pain, or to the thoughts, to the sounds. And the classical practice is to bring that mind back to the breath or back to the body, like that. So there's pulling and pushing game happening in that time. But sometimes it becomes very boring. Sometimes it feels very bored. Why should I go and back? And nothing that energize you. So in those situations when you haven't got this motivation to do, or you don't have this energy to continue the practice, in those situations, there is instruction given to do is to think about something that is motivational, uh, and particularly thinking of the according to the texts, thinking of the Buddha. So bringing the Buddha into yourself. So maybe imagining the Buddha that you have in your home, or the Buddha that you have seen, the picture of the statue of it. So imagining of that and bringing that into your mind. So basically you're thinking of that, and then may recite. So that's actually developing the confidence that he himself spent 6 years of a stereo practice before he became enlightened. And further on, if we know the stories of the Buddha, then what we are doing is we reflect back the moment when he made the vow that I will be the Buddha in the future, and that's eons of lifetime. So for eons of a lifetime, thousands of a lives, he cultivated the good qualities along the way. And then when he became this prince, Siddhartha, in his last birth, again he spent 6 years of a practice. So he spent so many years of lives of a practice dedicated to gain the freedom. And for us, we just started practicing it. Obviously, we face these problems. We face this uncertainty. We cannot maintain our awareness or focus on the breath. So, with that, taking the example of the Buddha into ourselves, again, it energizes us, motivates us to practice furthermore. And then when we realize that, okay, I got the motivation, I got the energy, then again, rather than thinking of the Buddha, just drop the Buddha back to the present moment, awareness of this breath, the body, the feeling, and the mind again. Right? So that's another, this is a skillful ways to motivate ourselves to continue practicing. And again, after thinking of the Buddha, if that's your meditation is still not like energized and still feeling sluggishness, and that moment again, thinking that the Buddha, despite he was the prince and he gave up his life, and then he attained the Buddhahood, and then for 45 years tirelessly. He was spreading the Dhamma, and how fortunate we are that after 2,600 years later, we got this opportunity to know this Dhamma and the practice. And then this practice is so valuable. So with that again, what it gives, that it gives a motivation and appreciation to the Buddha, that he compassionately passed on his knowledge to gain this freedom. When we pay attention to in that way, again, after we gain the full confidence and the knowledge and the awareness of this present moment, again, we so just let this thought of the Buddha drop and then back to the breath again. So this is another way of energizing and motivating ourselves to the practice and maintaining our awareness on the breath as well, right? So this is the further for more instruction that you can take away and practice to develop your meditation and free from suffering and get freedom. Okay? All right. Okay. So with this, anybody wants to share before we practice loving kindness meditation to finish off? Hmm? No? It's okay. Don't worry. I can answer or I can share. If don't worry. Don't think that although I'm not well, but I can. That's why I um, close my videos often time just to uh, clear myself. Right, so in that case, let's practice loving kindness meditation to finish off then for today. Okay, so sitting in comfortable position. Bring your attention to the moment here and now. Mindfully paying attention to the breath, the body. Maintaining your attention on the breath in your nose or in your belly. If it's in your belly, then recognizing as it rises and as it falls. Maintaining your focus on adapted object. If that's a breath in your belly, then knowing this below. Rising, falling. Have a clear awareness of it as it rises and as it falls. And if mind distracted to something else, recognizing that and bring it back again. And while you're bringing the mind back to the object, if you feel that you have this lack of motivation or still feel not clear, then may bring the Buddha in your mind and his qualities and compassion energize you. Or anybody who, once you have think about them, you feel more energetic. And after you become aware of that and become mindful, drop that away and back to the breath again. Now we'll practice the loving kindness meditation. So bring your attention to the body, mindful of any sensations in your body. And to your hands. Feel the sensations in your hand. And whatever sensations are there, just feel it. And shift that attention to your heart. Feel the beating heart. And as you feel the beating heart generating loving kindness and compassion to yourself, mentally you may recite, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. And similarly, sharing loving kindness and compassion to all other sentient beings, starting from the dear one, or any person that you think that they need the most, bring into your mind and sharing these loving thoughts. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering, may you be liberated, liberated. And extending our dedication and sharing this loving thoughts to all other sentient beings, starting from the room, in the city, in the country, in the universe. Whatever beings there are, visible, invisible beings, may all beings be well. May they be free from suffering. May they be free from all the calamities. May they be at peace. May they be liberated, liberated. Bring your attention back to your hands. Feel the sensations in your hand. And to your body. And bring your attention to your eyes. And noticing the tension in your eyes. And creating intention to open your eyes and come out from the practice. And slowly open your eyes and come out from practice. Okay, so thank you everyone, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Paijan, very much, very, very much. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We will take this method to practice during the vacation.
Okay.
Okay.
Next
Okay.
January, online course is going on for 8 weeks. So evening, Thursday evening, probably it will be 9 o'clock in your time. If you're interested, you can join. So I will send the information to Warapan to pass it on. Okay. So meantime, enjoy your festivals and be mindful and happy.
Thank you. Get well
Thanks.
soon.